Yeah.
Can't dance my ass just over here.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Keeping It Real with Rick and RJ vodcast, where we talk to real people with real stories, always uncensored. If that answers your question, Sean. Our vodcast is only available on YouTube live every Thursday at 11:15 a.m. CST. Our 2021 goal is to grow this channel so we can reach thousands, even millions of people to get their stories out there for their entertainment. So do us a favor, hit that red button and subscribe to the channel. And yes, subscribing is completely free. Before we get started, we want to thank our vodcast sponsor, Synoptic Heating and Cooling, a family-owned and operated company here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. They can supply and install hot water tanks and heating and cooling and HRV systems into your current home. You might want to keep that in mind, Sean. In a time where air quality is a big concern, you can trust the pros of Synoptic Heating and Cooling to make sure you and your family are not only warm in the winter, but cool in the summer, but also breathing in fresh, clean air. It is their mission to make sure every Manitoban has reliable and affordable home comfort solutions. Contact them at 204-894-6403.
What do you want to say?
Fuck broccoli.
Oh God, here we go. You see him? He was holding the mic, waiting to say something.
We'll
No.
get-
I was thinking Rick has a good chance of making it in broadcast.
Yeah, it
That's
was
what I
good.
was thinking.
We're going to get into the context of that statement right there. It's actually funny. But anyways, before we do that, Sean, let me just introduce you. The man sitting to across from me originally hails from Trinidad, Tobago. Resilient man who's hustled on the streets, opened several businesses. He's the type of man with an alpha energy who you want in your corner in life. My brother from another mother. Everybody, let's welcome Mr. Sean Sam.
Hey.
All right, so why don't you just hit everybody with why the F the broccoli?
Why are you saying F the broccoli?
Okay, why fuck the broccoli?
Okay then.
Tell him.
Because Rick was trying to get me into fitness. and he was at home. I think he was making supper or something one day, and he says to me, I'm making some right now. I'm gonna have some broccoli, and I'm gonna have some. I was like, man, fuck broccoli. and he said, I'm gonna make you a T-shirt that says "fuck broccoli," and I'm still waiting for my T-shirt.
Just one of those ones. The way he said it was just so funny and powerful. You know what I mean? Like, I was just genuinely trying to give the guy, hey, you want some dinner? No, fuck broccoli. Anyway, so the title of this vodcast is all about pimping. All right. Now, that's not what it's going to be. We're talking about the whole time, but the whole point of what we're doing is to try to bring real people who have real stories.
Word.
Stories that you're probably not going to, or questions that you have that you probably will never be able to ask because who do you know, right? Who do you know?
I was gonna say, and sometimes we don't even want to talk about it.
Sometimes, but we are going to today. So anyways, a long time ago, we'll say a whole lifetime ago, there was a time where you were, in fact, a pimp. Is that correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Your
So
Honor.
my first question that always comes to my mind is, how do you make money being a pimp?
Actually, let's get into how long ago it was first.
Sure.
Just for the record,
Okay.
it was about 29 years ago.
Okay.
All right. Way you make money is, women go out to work.
Yep.
You are the person that they chose to work for,
Mm-hmm.
and they come back to you with whatever they've made in
Okay.
an evening.
Yeah.
And
So how do you go about getting these girls to work with you or for you or however you want to
actually,
word it?
the way I started off, a girl approached me to work for me. In those days, however long ago, women would. I'm going to speak about a specific person that was working for me, right?
Yep.
She walked up to me, she approached me, and she says, I choose you.
Okay.
And because I used to hang out with people who were in the industry, but I wasn't in the industry.
Yeah.
We call it live and we call it square. So live means that you're actively involved in the business,
Okay.
and you're a square, you just don't know nothing about the business. So I was a square. And she approached me and she said, I choose you. And I said, you choose me? And she was like, yeah. I said, okay, what do you mean? She's like, are you live? I said, of course I'm alive. She's like, no, not are you alive. Are you live?
Mm-hmm.
I said, no. She goes, I choose you.
So she was staking out her pimp.
Yeah.
And
So
you didn't even know you were one yet.
I wasn't one yet,
You were
but I became one after that.
Okay. So that's how you got into it.
Business opportunity.
That's kind of how I got into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you start with one and then what? Then what?
The most people I've ever had working for me at any given time was 3 people,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And I guess working for you is kind of a.
Yeah, what's the proper
I was
terminology? that
I was
you
gonna say I wouldn't really call it working for me because it was like you weren't just these people weren't just employees that you know what I mean. Like these were people that you actually had relationships with who were involved in living with you, spending time with you, going out to dinner with you, going shopping with you. So it wasn't like if I pick you off the street and then I put you out on the street and then you work for me and then you bring back money and that's it. Right? That's not what this game was. This was people that you had actual genuine connection with who use their body for income.
Yeah. So were you dating all these women at the same time, or having a relationship with them all at the same time?
Yes.
Okay. Would you say that that's the dynamic of pimping? Like, would you say that you pretty much not own them, but you are their man?
Yeah. Own is not a term that I would use at all.
Okay.
But I would say in 99% of the cases, yes, you are their man.
Okay. And
I was gonna say why. So with the women, like what we see on TV is generally the women are strung out and the pimps are these demons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just hit the girls. They treat them like crap.
Right.
The girls have daddy issues. So so what is it like from your perspective?
Okay, so I'm not gonna speak for anybody else. I'll talk for myself.
Yeah.
In 1991, 92, it wasn't about eating, drugs, none of that stuff. I'm 51. I've never done 50. I've never done drugs in my life, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But I used to like to live a flashy lifestyle, and girls want to be in the mall with a tall, dark dude who other women are watching. That's kind of like me being a trophy to them, kind of thing, right?
Right.
And for me, the other thing is having a pocket full of money. So you go in a mall with 2 or 3 hot women on your arm and you got a pocket full of money. What's the first thing that happens? Everybody start looking at you. You go into the store, you see something that's $200, $500, $1,000. Doesn't matter because you can pay for it. You go into places like Foot Locker and all these other places. You come out with the latest sneakers, latest tracksuit. Because I mean, in the 90s was tracksuit era, right? and you always in the latest, right? And you go to restaurants or something. You don't worry about what the cost is of any item on the menu because you can afford that.
Right.
That's what it was about.
yeah. So when we have this preconceived notion that, or like he said in movies, that all these women are basically shipped here in some shipping container and then forced into this sexual world. That's probably not the case most of the time. I'm gonna say
more than 90% of the time that's not the case.
Okay, and then so here's my other question: do these women enjoy the lifestyle? Do they enjoy having sex with men? Like, do they hate it, or are they okay with it?
For the most part, I'm gonna say there are women who actually, for lack of a better expression, there are some women who really get off on that. You know what I mean? Because sex is a powerful thing. Even at age 50, you are involved in a monogamous relationship with your wife, whatever the case might be. The one thing that your wife has power over you with is the magic P. Right? You get some, you happy. You don't get some, you cranky. Right? It's just how it goes. But those are the facts. And so, believe it or not, there are some women who thrive on having that kind of power over a man.
Well, I can tell you this: back in the day when I used to hustle, I used to sell some drugs, and some of my customers were prostitutes, escorts. These weren't necessarily street girls, but they, all had apartments. They all had nice,
fancy apartments.
And you know what?
Mercedes Benz.
So I got to know them because you go there, you don't just do your transaction, but you sit there, you might have a conversation.
Absolutely.
And they're all the same. They're usually moms trying to look after their kids. And what they always say is, you know what, I make my own hours. I'm always in my own house. I determine who my clientele is. Like, they don't just take anybody. They got to vet them like anybody else. So they're in full control. And this is a lifestyle that most of them really liked.
And not just in full control, but they know that they have that power. So for them, it's a power trip.
So why do you think that's like the general society, the population as a whole? Why do they look down?
Because of what or how it's portrayed. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
There's women who are escorts so that they can pay to go to law school. And when they're done, they're defending clients. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There are women who pay to go to medical school.
Yeah.
And when they're done, they're giving you your needle.
Mm.
So, or they're cutting you open and fixing whatever problem you got going on the
Right.
inside.
Right.
So it's not just, I think it's a very taboo subject because everybody knows prostitution is the oldest profession on the planet.
Mhm.
But most people frown upon it. And I'll tell you, I am not involved I haven't been involved in that lifestyle for a really long time. But I don't hold any ill will against anybody who chooses to go into that profession because sometimes it opens a door
Mhm.
to somewhere they're trying to get to where they otherwise might not be able to get to.
I would agree. Not
Do we-
only
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead. Not only would I not ever judge anybody who gets into the profession, but I would never judge a man who pays for it either.
Mhm.
You know,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's actually another good point.
you know, like at the end of the day, if it's consenting and you're both benefiting and you're getting what you want, what is the problem? Why is there a problem?
There's less
The,
tangibles.
the problem is the law.
Yeah.
Yes.
The problem is the law.
And should the government be able to legalize that?
I was going
How
to
can
say,
they say that?
it's not should the government be able to legalize that. Because if you go down to that building with the revolving restaurant there, the Fort Gary building,
Yeah.
Mhm.
they used to sell fucking escort license in there.
What does that mean?
Just like they have now smoke shops where you can walk in and buy weed.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the government ain't fucking stupid.
Yeah.
The government knows what time it is. And
They got to get
you know
paid.
the general consensus is that there's always some evil dude behind the scenes
Always, yeah.
putting a needle in these girls' arms or beating these people up or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
They'll never let the public actually know that there is people, women who, without a man, who will say, let me go down here, go get my license and set up an ad online with my cell phone online that doesn't have anything to do with a man whatsoever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, that's. I'm going to assume that the whole like pimping world, if that still exists, is probably pretty small compared to what it used to be.
I was
Now
going to
that
say
you have the online thing, right?
there's no pimping. Well, women are their own pimps.
Yeah.
Themselves, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because and I mean, you can pull up your phone on your phone. I'm sure, because Google tells you everything. I'm sure if you Google escorts in Winnipeg, not only one phone number is going to come up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure just because this phone is right in front of me, listening to this conversation, my ads are going to be all about girls. And, it's just going to happen. Not even if I type it in, right?
Yeah.
So moving forward, so you spent a little bit of time in prison. Was that because of this?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it was because the Winnipeg police enticed somebody to tell lies in regards to me because they always wanted Sean Sam in prison, but couldn't get Sean Sam in prison.
Yeah. So we do know Sean Sam is a bit of an infamous character, and
Yeah, I'm the only guy who tells the police to go fuck themselves when they pull me over. And if y'all are listening, go fuck yourselves.
way to not beat around the bush. But we're going to get into that right away because I know that's something you want to talk about, and I want you to talk about it as well. But let's just go backtrack to when you spent, a year or two in Headingley?
A little over a year, yeah.
A little over a year.
Yeah.
So, everybody likes to talk prison stories or they have questions about it,
I don't like to talk prison stories, but let's go.
but I do. So you're my guy. So you went in there. So what is prison like? And specifically, just give me a day-to-day, right? So you wake up, what happens? Lunchtime, what happens? What are you doing in prison?
Scratching your ass. No, I'm just you wake up, you go for breakfast, you sit around, you do nothing. Again, we're talking in the 90s.
Right.
I don't know what's going on in prison today.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. You wake up, you do nothing, you sit around, you watch TV, you whatever.
Yeah.
Lunchtime, same shit. In the evening, you go to the gym, you go to the rec room, you depending on the prison or institution that you're in, there's different amenities. And I say amenities because you find amenities at hotels and golf courses and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Some institutions have amenities.
Right.
Right? Headingley, not so much. Stony Mountain, you have pool tables, weight pits, basketball, badminton, curling, baseball, miniature golf. The list goes
Damn.
on and on and on.
Yeah.
Right? So again, people see on TV prison is hardcore and there's a whole bunch of people with tattoos fighting each other and wanting to shank each other and all that shit all the time. And like you got to remember, when you're watching TV, TV is not reality.
Yeah.
TV is for ratings.
I agree.
It's probably real like that somewhere. Just
Oh
not
yeah.
real.
Not in Manitoba.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to go to San Quentin, for example.
I asked you this question. I asked you this question before we got into the podcast. Is are Manitoba prisons racially divided? Did you have to stay with your own people and white guys stay with their own people? Like
No, you literally, it's not racially divided. Or in the 90s, it wasn't racially divided, because you would see people of all races on the basketball court playing basketball. You'd see people of different races in the weight pit playing, lifting weights or different sporting activities, right? But for whatever the reason is, most of the time when it comes to eating, people ate with their own people.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
100%.
Like
always?
no, not 100%, but most of the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So like you're a new guy coming in, and you're black, and everybody's sitting in the lunchroom or in the breakfast area or whatever.
Yeah.
You look around. You're not gonna go be the only black dude in a bunch of fucking white dudes. You'll be like, fuck that.
But why not? Like, so if I went to jail, why wouldn't I sit with you and your buddies? Like, what would be
No,
the
you
problem?
know me, so you would sit with me and my buddies.
Pretend that I didn't know you, though, right? Like, what would be
So
the
if you
reason
didn't know
not to?
anybody, it's just you just go and sit with what looks the same.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
would just go with what feels comfortable to you.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give you a perfect example of that. Even as a now I consider myself to be a grown man
Yeah.
in a free world.
Yeah.
I just came from a banking institution just now.
Yeah.
I walked in and I felt fucking uncomfortable.
Oh, really?
And I kid you not. I looked around every direction and I was like, what the fuck? I felt weird.
Yeah.
And then a young lady came downstairs. Mr. Sam, she got me. I went upstairs into her office. Me and her started talking. She's a white girl. She said she's married to a Jamaican.
Oh.
And we just started having a nice conversation.
Yeah.
And then my guard completely went
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
So if you're walking into a room with how many hundreds of guys,
Yeah.
as a white dude, you're not going to be like, I'm going to go sit over there in between them black dudes. That's not going to happen.
So you felt uncomfortable walking into the bank because it was all white people?
Not walking into the bank. When I walked in and I sat down
Okay.
and I looked around, I automatically felt uncomfortable. And this
So
is
your
after
head- your
having
head- your-
30 years in Canada.
Your head started playing games with you.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about the experience, but
Yeah.
I literally, and I have 2 foster boys who are white. And me and Rick was having some conversation the other day, and I tried to point out to them the difference, like how society views one set of people over another set of people. And as a person who's in the minority, how you feel being among a majority as a minority. You know what I mean? I was having my wife and I were having that conversation with our older foster boy up to about 2 nights ago. And I said to him, I said, you would never really be able to totally understand what I feel unless I take you to somewhere like Trinidad where it's
Right.
predominantly black.
Right.
Because my ex is white. And when I took her to Trinidad for the first time, she was like, holy shit, now I fucking understand
Like in what way?
it is you feel. Because she was in the minority. So literally, in any direction she looked,
Yeah.
there was only fucking black people.
So was she bothered, or not bothered, but was she uncomfortable just because there wasn't any other white people, or was she bothered because black people were giving her sideways looks or giving her bad energy?
And that's the thing. In Trinidad, if you go to Trinidad, brother, everybody's happy-go-lucky.
Okay.
There's no fucking angry people.
All right. So you're just not familiar with your surroundings.
So
basically.
she's not familiar with her surroundings.
Okay.
There isn't anything that is familiar to her, even people that look like her.
Okay.
So she was instantly uncomfortable. She's like, holy, but after,
Yeah, I would love that.
you see, but after
I
going
would
there,
love that.
I you might, but you might also find yourself saying, what the fuck is this?
So here's some fun facts. The world population can be divided into 4 major races:
Right.
white Caucasian, Mongoloid, Asian, Negroid or Negroid,
Yep.
Black,
Yep.
and Australioid.
What the hell is Australioid?
Australians, I guess.
There's so many of them that
There
they
mu-
got their own.
there
they
must
got
be.
their own race.
And so here it is. So what race has the biggest population in the world? What do you think?
I would say probably East Indians,
Asians.
Asians.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Chinese, yeah.
Was there any Indians in that?
No. So
What?
I guess the Indians would get mixed into the Asians.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so too.
Then for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
For sure.
I asked my wife this question. I said, let's go back, okay, and just like disregard biblical terms. And I'm not trying to say that in whatever ways. I'm just saying, like, if there was one people, so if they're saying, okay, Africa, white, Asian, and Australia. So what was the first Asian? What was the first black person? Was it a Jamaican? Was he Trini? Like, what did he
They were
look like?
all Africans, bro.
Yeah, so it's just straight up African, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder what the main, I guess Mongolian then? Because
I don't know,
That would
but you
be
know what?
Asian.
I was watching an interesting series with Samuel Jackson on slaves and slavery,
okay.
and you know, as a black person, it's when you look at shit like that, it kind of makes your belly boil a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I personally don't like to look at too much of shit like that
Oh
because
yeah.
I mean the devil in me has been sleeping for a long time, but it's not hard to wake that motherfucker up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just try my hardest not to engage or watch too much of that kind of shit.
Okay.
Because when you take somebody
Yeah.
and throw them overboard in the middle of an ocean
Right.
because he doesn't look big enough or strong enough or he gives you a sideways look and you're intimidated, you think he might try to free himself or something, you fucking throw him overboard? Like, what kind of shit is that?
You're referring to something back in the day where they were shipping over black people to be slaves, and they
Bro,
didn't
I was watching-
like him. They threw him off the board. Is that what?
The series is called Enslaved. Samuel Jackson and them are doing that like currently or just finished it or something. I was watching a few different episodes, and there was one where they were carrying slaves from Africa to the Caribbean, somewhere just off the coast of Jamaica or something. And one of the slave ships hit a rock or something, and it was taking on water, it was going to sink. These dudes locked the fucking hatches and saved themselves and let all the slaves drown. If it's a case of every man for himself, why not give them a fighting chance? Like, why lock them in a pit
Yeah.
and let them drown while you save yourself? See, these are the things that I don't like to get into these kind of things too deeply.
Yeah.
But black people, for a long time, weren't considered people. They were considered things. If you have something that you consider to be a thing, you could fucking throw that away or discard that at any point in time because it's a thing to you. And that's what to me is so messed up about this world right now, bro.
So let me ask you this then: I wouldn't say it's the world. I mean, then you're considering me and Rick into that world, right?
Listen.
So who is it that you think, like, if you're upset about things, who is it directed to? Because it can't be all white
Listen,
people.
no, listen. I'm not upset. I try not to get upset
Okay.
because
So those situations
Rick,
upset you.
Rick is a white dude,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, when I see Rick, I don't see his color.
Yeah.
Rick was in my wedding party.
Yeah.
That's my homie. That's my other brother right there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I often tell people like this. If you're somebody who is black, or if you're somebody who's female, or if you're somebody who's of any other race, you stand a really good chance of disrespecting me and me saying to you, yo, that's not cool.
As a white person.
Anybody.
Anybody, okay.
But if you are a white male and you disrespect me, God help you.
It's another level.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's something that's in me because for all that I've seen through history,
Yeah.
it's always been the European man
Okay.
who's killed my ancestors, who's put my ancestors in the cotton fields, who's sold my ancestors for $125 because, or $600, or because they were of a good specimen, they looked like they came from a good gene pool, and all these other things. We were never considered people.
So can I rewind a little bit here?
Sure.
So we were talking about the pimp,
Yep.
right? And how the pimp is, people look at him like he's the terrorist.
Yeah.
Now, majority of the women, like we don't know everybody's situation.
Exactly.
Some women are forced into
Absolutely.
prostitution. If
Absolutely.
you go to Asia,
Yeah.
like girls are like that's 12, 13. They're on the streets.
Yeah, human
They're
trafficking,
forced.
all
Human
these different
trafficking, that
things. Yeah,
happens. They're
yeah,
forced.
yeah, I agree.
But some are free will.
Absolutely.
Now I'm wondering, and we don't know those times. We
Yeah.
don't know every single story in history. And I'm not trying to like prove you wrong or anything, but we don't know everybody's scenario. So like, yeah, the Middle Easterns were doing that, but there might have been some Middle Easterns that were completely against it. You know, not everybody in Germany was a Nazi,
No, I agree with you.
right?
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm going to draw another analogy for you. I can put my neck on a block that not every single police officer is bad,
Right.
right?
Right.
But they wear a uniform that represents something that I cannot fucking stand. So when you have on that uniform
Yeah.
and you go to have a conversation with me, you're dealing with a different guy.
Right. So how do we change that? How do we
If you
change
are
that scenario?
if you are out of that uniform,
Yeah. Different story.
it's a completely different story. it's so weird because as I'm talking to you right now, I'm having that revelation, right?
Yeah.
I was at my in-laws a couple of weeks ago, and I dropped my wife and my kids off, and I was leaving. They live in the south end. I was leaving my in-laws' house, and as I'm pulling away on a side street, I see an unmarked police vehicle. There is nobody on this planet that can recognize a police vehicle like me.
Okay.
There's something about it that's just my sixth sense is always aware. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see this unmarked SUV sitting on a side street, lights off and everything
In the South.
in the south.
Yeah.
Which is the richer
Yeah,
part of
why are they
Winnipeg,
there?
in case
Yeah.
you're watching it.
As I'm pulling away, the vehicle pulls out. Now it's traveling very slowly behind me. I said, okay, I'm gonna put some distance in between me and this dude. And as I start to put some distance in between us, I can see his headlights still keeping up with me. So now I know he's following me. I turn right. He turns right. I get to Skirfield.
Yeah.
He goes in the lane besides me, but he doesn't come up alongside me. He stays just slightly behind me. I know he's running my plates.
Oh yeah.
So I turn left onto Keniston. He turns left. I'm in the right lane. He's in the far left lane. I'm like, I called my wife right away. I said, these fucking cops are fucking following me again. Now I have a pair of high definition glasses for recording video and audio.
Okay.
I keep it in my car. Do you do that?
No, that's a good idea.
Right. But they don't pull you over every time they fucking see you. So now I have to defend myself. So I put on my glasses, I turn them on, and I said, oh, Co-op gas station's right here. I'm going to pull into Co-op and get some gas. And as I turn right, I put on my signal to turn right to go into the Co-op. The SUV puts on a signal light, hops 3 lanes over, and pulls in behind me. And I'm like, okay, I've had enough of this fucking guy. Pull around to the pump, get out, slam my door, and go straight over to the police vehicle. I'm like, what the fuck are you following me for? And he rolls on him and he's like, hey, Sean, what's up, man? And I'm like, Mike?
Well, that took a twist.
And,
Yeah, it did.
and I said, man, do not fucking follow me like that. I'm like, me and the cops have a bad relationship. Don't follow me like that.
But is he a cop?
Yes, he is.
Okay, yeah.
But he ran my plates.
Okay. So did he know it was you?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
He ran my plates.
Yeah.
And once he was done running my plates,
Yeah.
he's like, going back to Sean Sam. No, it can't be Sean Sam. How's Sean Sam doing in this area?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And as if I can't be in that area, first of all. Right?
So how well do you know this guy? Like,
I know him well enough. When we had our jazz club, he was a foot patrol officer downtown. And he...
Is he black?
No, he's a white guy.
Okay.
But he says to me, he says, oh, I've been running plates all day. And when I saw the plate come back to your name, I thought to myself, no, what is he doing over in this end of town kind of thing, you know? And I said to him, I said, brother, please, if you see me and you see my plates, don't just be pulling me over. I said, that could have worked out not so good for both of us.
you know what? You know what's unfortunate? So last week's guest was Safa. He's another black guy. He has very similar stories as you. Always getting pulled over.
And they call it random.
And RJ asked, so how do we change that? And we asked him that on the podcast last week as well. And I feel like there's no hope.
You can't.
I feel like there's no hope.
You can't. You know why? Because the chain starts at the top, Rick.
I'm actually getting depressed. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, I want to have a podcast.
You're depressing Rick. Sean.
I want to have a podcast where I can bring people on and we can have discussions and not just necessarily talk about the same things that always happen, but what is a possible solution? How do we ever fix this?
Then you call the chief of police here, because he's the head of the Winnipeg Police Department. Mm-hmm. You call the mayor of Winnipeg here, because he's in charge of the city. Mm-hmm. And you have the decision makers here. And you ask them for real answers. Tell them don't blow smoke up your ass.
What's the question and what's the answer?
How do you intend to deal with your officers who racially profile people?
Okay, so back in
what is the consequences for racially profiling fucking people?
Yeah, so back in the day we had a black
police chief, Devon,
Devon, yeah. So why did nothing change when he was around?
Well, listen, at the end of the day, Devon's one person. Yes, he's at the head.
Okay.
But do you think he still has people to answer to?
Okay.
Who the fuck do you think them people are?
Politicians?
What color are they?
White.
All right, then.
So let me ask you this, Sean.
I'm done talking about that. I done made my point.
Let me ask you this. Yeah. So if I said to you, why don't you encourage other black people to become police officers or politicians, change the system from the inside, what would you tell me?
That's a great question. But I'll tell you right now, if you brought a briefcase full of money and you asked me to put on a police uniform, I'll tell you, go fuck yourself.
That's exactly what Safa said at the other podcast, too. Yeah. So then, again, this goes back to the way that this is never going to get fixed, right? Well, it can't.
And listen, and at the end of the day, Rick, the truth is it doesn't have to get fixed.
Okay. Explain that to me.
These assholes that decide to put on this uniform and decide to take this up as a profession, so be it. If you see me as a citizen on the streets doing something wrong, you pull me over, you give me a ticket, I'll tell you thank you, officer, and I'll be on my way.
Yeah.
If you pull up next to me and you look over and you see it's a black dude, and then you look at the emblem on my vehicle and you say, well, why the fuck is this guy driving this car? And then you decide to pull me over. Mm-hmm. Then we got a problem.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Right? Yep. So if you do you, and you just let me do me, our paths might never cross.
So 100%, if you were in the wrong, you did something wrong, and this person gave you, you'd just be like, thank you, officer.
Brother, it's happened
Have
to me.
Have a nice day.
It's happened to me.
Okay.
It's happened to me.
Yeah.
If I get pulled over for something that I did, I take my ticket, you won't even hear me. I won't even say shit because I know I'm in the wrong. I'm a fair guy. You know, you've known me for how long?
I know.
Many years.
I think almost 2 decades.
Yeah, I'm a fair guy. If I do something, I'm man enough to accept the consequences. Yeah. But don't pull me over or harass me just because of the color of my skin or because of what you see me driving or what you think you know about me.
Yeah, yeah. So let's move on then. So Black Lives Matter. You're pretty passionate about that.
I'm black, of course. Of course. Hey, see my shirt?
Are there any black people who aren't concerned about Black Lives Matter?
I don't know. I don't know any. If you're black, you're concerned about it. And if you're a black male, you know you're the hunted. So you better be concerned about it.
Hunted?
Yes.
Explain that to me. So you actually feel like you're hunted as a black man in this world?
Yes.
Really? So they seek you out to mess with you?
That's why I just finished. That goes back to my point I just made. If you see me and I'm not doing anything wrong, then just let me be. If I do something wrong, that's the only reason that you should have to interact with me.
So why do you think that there's so much, what do you call it, suspicion towards black people? What do you think has created that? You know, you're going to say something like systemic racism or, I don't know, media portrayal, the way you're looked at on TV and movies. I don't know what makes... We'll just
you'd have to ask that to one of them white dudes that you see wearing them blue pants with the red stripes.
Well, let me ask you your opinion. What do you think it is?
I think it's because I'm black, and I think it's because they're racist assholes.
But why do you think white people hate black people?
I'm not saying all white people.
No, I know. I'm saying, but why do you think they do? Because and you told me too. I mean, we've talked about this many times. Where I said, who are the most racist people? And you say, old white people.
No, I said to you, no.
Old white dudes.
No. Yeah. You asked me that, and I said to you, the most racist person on the planet is an old black man. That's what I said to you.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And an old black man is probably the most racist person on the planet because the kind of shit that he's been through in his lifetime, regular people will never be able to understand it. Steve, I actually watched something with Steve Harvey the other day. After this thing that happened in the Capitol on the 6th. And he says he came home and his wife's father was sitting on the couch and his father-in-law was watching. He says, hey, Pops, he says, his father-in-law is 85 years old. He says to his father-in-law, he says, Pops, he says, So what do you think about this, man? Like when you see this happening, what do you think about it? His father-in-law says, they're just now seeing what I've known forever. He says, that doesn't surprise me. It surprises them because they're now getting a chance to see it. He says, but that doesn't surprise me. I've been seeing that my whole life.
Specific to what? What are you talking about right now?
Meaning the torturing and the smashing of and the destruction and all of that stuff.
Of Capitol Hill, you
Of
mean?
Capitol Hill, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
He's seen that type of violence and that type of shit his entire life. So it didn't surprise him one bit. But he's saying that it's surprising people who've never seen that because that's not their life. They don't understand it. I gave you the example, me and you having a conversation when I was trying to teach my foster boy about what white privilege is.
Can you tell him that story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So me and my foster boy went to Walmart the other day on Regent. And he wanted to get some toiletries and stuff. So he had a bottle of shampoo and a bottle of conditioner in his hand. We're at the register together. I am paying for it. The girl already scanned it. So he picks it up and he starts walking away. No, she asked if he wanted a bag. He didn't want a bag. And he starts heading for the exit.
Right.
I'm still paying. There's a black dude in front of him going out of Walmart. The security stops the black dude and asks for his receipt. Black dude shows his receipt. My foster boy is behind him, walks right out.
Right.
With the shampoo and conditioner in hand with no bag and no receipt and just fucking walks out. The security doesn't say a word. And then I am coming behind now and I have the receipt in my hand, but I don't have nothing. And then the security guard looks in my hand and doesn't ask me for anything because I'm not carrying anything.
Yeah.
And then I go out and I said to him, I said, hey, I said, did you pay attention to that? And he goes, to what? And I said to him, I said, that was a perfect example of what white privilege is and you completely missed it. He goes, what do you mean? I said, what did the security guard do to the guy that was walking out in front of you? He goes, the black guy? I said, yeah. I said, what did he do? He says, he asked for his receipt. I said, okay. I said, you came out right after him. I said, what did he do? And he goes, oh.
So that was his first understanding of that happening?
Yeah, but you see, and most people are oblivious to it.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand that as white people, they're entitled. Because that's just their regular life. But for somebody who's black, we notice all kinds of shit like that. So whereas I have to present a receipt when I'm leaving, you could be walking out with goods that you don't have in a bag, that you don't have a receipt for, and nobody asks you a damn question.
So 3 things from that. Number 1, this is the answer. Have a white guy with you. I think that's the
number one,
solution
yes.
right there.
You want to steal some shit? Carry a white guy with you.
Number 1.
I'm your guy, buddy. I'm your guy. What do you got?
Yeah. Number
Let's
2,
go shopping.
I think that I think awareness is what it is, and and you know, like that the Capitol Hill. So to give everybody context, are you talking about the white guys, the
white supremacists,
The
duck
Donald Trump
hunters?
the Trump Nation.
Yeah, those guys stormed the Capitol, right? So and they started pretty much rioting. In what they call rioting. And so it's shocking to people because they're not used to seeing white people riot.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so this is kind of increasing the awareness.
Exactly.
So I think with the awareness, especially nowadays with the social media, the more you're aware, and like you said, I got to teach my kids right from wrong.
Exactly.
Where I grew up, he'll never see that.
Exactly.
But I want to teach him. Doesn't mean I'm going to go and drop him off in my old neighborhood.
Exactly.
And say walk home. Maybe one day. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't want him to learn those hard lessons. But I want him to be aware that this world exists. Just like crossing the street. This world exists. I tell Jet, you can't just cross the street without looking both ways. I don't care if we're around you or not. You got to look both ways.
Exactly.
And so that's what it is that we got to increase. And that's what the Black Lives Matter is they're trying to increase the awareness.
Yeah, because there's lots of people, uneducated people, who think that black people are making noise because they're trying to say black lives are the only lives that matter.
Right.
And what black people are trying to say is our lives matter too.
Yeah. And what is that? What is that all lives matter? I get it, but I'm like,
because
this is not your thing. This is not your thing, all lives.
Because no, it's not all lives matter. We already know all lives matter. But our lives, for the majority of people who have the opportunity to take our lives mean nothing to them. Because you can't Look at Black Lives Matter protests.
Mm-hmm.
Rubber bullets, fucking tear gas,
Yeah.
all kinds of shit. All these assholes stormed the fucking Capitol.
Yeah.
How many shots did the police fire?
And over what? Because Trump wasn't
but,
get
but how many shots did they fire?
I don't think any.
How much tear gas did they deploy?
0.
All right then. And you telling me that fucking black lives don't matter?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: so you, so everybody knows, so you have 3 natural-born kids.
Yeah. Those are my little Africans.
The little
Yeah.
Africans, yes, and then
Yeah.
you have 2 foster boys.
Correct.
White boys. Okay. So obviously you're the father figure to the foster kids.
Absolutely.
So what's different about raising white kids to black kids?
Nothing.
Okay. So
Nothing.
how do you navigate it then? How are you telling Kanisa, who's my goddaughter, by the way,
Yeah.
to act around police officers, to act around white people, to navigate her way in this world that you think is very racist as opposed to your
Well, they're
white
still too
fathers?
young for me to have those kind of conversations with them.
Okay, but they must be sensing things
But-
at this point, right?
No, because the police don't even bother me now.
Okay.
Because I'm not driving no flashy car. Like, they don't see me on the front page or the middle page of a magazine. I don't have no businesses where they can see crowds gathering out front or nothing. So they don't even know I exist. Thank you, Winnipeg Police. I like it.
Yeah.
But my kids now are still too small
Okay.
for me to try to explain this stuff to, for them to actually get it.
Yeah.
Right? My 17-year-old, who's my foster son, is at the age where he asks questions about these kind of things. He's curious about like life and I think for him, he'll be a much better human being than somebody who grows up in the suburbs who's never had interactions with black people.
So what kind of questions does he ask? I'd be curious to know. Like, what's he trying to find out right now as he's exploring his life?
He was curious about Black Lives Matter,
Okay.
and like sometimes if there is something of importance going on TV, like with the protests and that kind of thing, and with the whole George Floyd thing and all this kind of stuff, you make him aware of it, but you also ask his opinion of it. And I always say to my kids, don't say something because you think, oh, Sean will be mad. I won't be mad. At the end of the day, you have your own opinion, and you're entitled to that because every human being, that's our God-given right. But like, I like to make him aware just so that they know what's going on in the world and they won't become part of the problem, but they'll be part of the solution, right?
Yeah. So that's what this podcast is about.
Yeah.
Is that we're opening it up to topics
Absolutely.
that most people won't hear of. And
Absolutely.
I think that's the ultimate trend in this, and that's the only way that we're going to get smarter, more aware.
Yeah.
The way we're going to be able to be around one another and not be afraid or fearful or judgmental.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My third thing was, is there, okay, let's fast forward 10, maybe 20 years.
Okay.
Is there ever going to be just a Ukrainian? Is there ever going to be just a black guy? Is there ever going to be just an Asian guy?
Yeah, but
I'm Filipino Ukrainian.
Yeah, but here's the thing. There will probably be just Ukrainians and just this and just that. But
Yeah.
I think that any race, even just black people,
Yeah.
but I think that any race
Yeah.
that there is still just whatever that race is will probably be in the minority because what's happening with the world today is that people are mixing.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Big time.
Which,
You know what I
Sean,
mean?
to me, tells me that the world's getting less racist.
Well,
That's a
They're
good
being forced to.
indicator.
I'll tell you.
Because if you're racist, you ain't sleeping with somebody who is a different color
Exactly.
than you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I got a cousin who lives in Baltimore. He's from Trinidad. He's obviously black, and his wife Annette happens to be black. And we keep in constant communication. And they told me that even in 2021, in places like Baltimore, there are some places that white people can't go, and there are some places that black people can't go. In today's day.
Yeah.
Like, how crazy is that?
See, this is one of the fears that I have, and we're going to wrap up the podcast right away. But
Yep.
this is one of the fears that I have is you get a lot of people who are split, divided, right? And we're just going to say white versus black. Let's just for the sake. The problem is, so somebody like me who's never been racist, even though I've been accused of it many times, never been racist.
The more you say it, Rick.
Yeah,
And he's got one black friend, I know.
yeah, just one.
I don't know if it's only one, but I
He
know
just
for
gets
sure.
on camera because he wants to show
I know
how-
for
how
sure he
he's-
has at least one black friend.
Yeah, you make one questionable post, right? One questionable post.
Sorry, Rick. Go ahead.
Anyways, what happens is, I remember that post, I got attacked heavily for it, right? And you stepped up and you were like, simmer down, he's not racist. And a lot of my black friends actually did that as well. But the problem is someone like me with thick skin, I can handle that.
Exactly.
If you put yourself in a position where you get attacked, my fear is this, Sean, is that somebody like me is just going to say, you know what, screw it, man. I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to be part of them. I'm just going to stick to my own kind where I'm not attacked for anything and we all think together. Yeah. And my fear is because, if we say something that is not politically correct or maybe wrongly worded.
Wear the wrong hat.
Wear the wrong hat. Wear the wrong hat. Drive the wrong truck. Have the wrong tattoos. Whatever. Yeah. The point is, I fear that we're going to go back into a sort of a segregated society.
That's what Trump's trying to take the states right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is it wrong? I mean, if you look at the way the way it's going, some people really feel that's what we got to do then, because I'm going to get attacked if I do anything wrong, if I look the wrong way. Like, that's a white problem, so you know.
I understand.
Like, that's a white feeling, I should say.
So what's the answer?
I understand that, and I feel bad that you feel like that.
Okay.
But here's what I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
Black people are generally extremely sensitive around white people, because the people that have attacked us, done us harm, hung us, killed us, sold our children, and so forth, hasn't been Asian people, hasn't been Indian people, has been European people, for the most part. You just said, you got some black friends. I got lots of white friends.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not racist at all.
Yeah.
My kids, two of my kids.
Yeah.
Well, two of my kids are mixed, right? But at the end of the day, black people are more sensitive and and their blood is just right under their skin when it comes to certain things because of history, bro. And I'm not talking about past history. I'm not gonna fight for my ancestors who were here in the 1800s. But I'm talking about even with modern day problems. That continues to happen all the time, right? So I'm going to be aggressive when the Winnipeg police pull me over from the get-go based on history. I've seen what they've done to my ancestors, but also I can tell you, I've been pulled over how many times coming to your house, right outside of your door, right?
So let's. So what happens? You got a sensitive black man, and you got a white man that wants to stand up for his rights.
Yeah.
They're in the room. What happens? Do we click up, grow big in numbers, and go to war, or do we settle it?
Me and him just hug it out.
There you go. And again, my solution to racism is this: sitting down at a table, eating food together, getting to know each other a little bit. That's always the problem. The problem is. Yeah, the problem is that we're always getting divided just because of all the messages in the world. Always, constantly.
Yeah, I think it's an indirect line of communication.
Yeah, and I was going to say...
You start side talking to me, but you got something to say to him, but you don't want to say it directly to him because you're afraid that you guys are going to get into it. So you say it to me, all of a sudden I'm on your side, and next thing you know, we're on this side of the table, you're on that side of the table, you're growing. Well,
and social media too. Social media has a way of making shit...
Big time.
Like, erupt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I believe that people of any race can sit down and talk things through. Big
time.
Right? Because that's the number one form of communication.
Jails.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
Jails. They're playing hoops together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we still know our history. We're aware of it. And anytime we feel like if somebody's starting to disrespect us, then we start to take the defensive because we don't want to be that person that tolerates that shit. You understand what I'm saying? So
I understand that. Guys, we're going to finish up the podcast here. 45 minutes. Sean Sam, that was an awesome conversation. Don't forget, everybody, to like, comment, subscribe to our channel, Fit Club Media on YouTube. Let's get some views up there.
Yeah. 94 views, 94 subscribers. Let's get to 100 people. Come on.
Usually we don't get 94 until about a week into it.